Well, I want to show you some of the blackberries I'm getting. They are huge. That was almost 2 inches. That one's almost 2 inches. 1.5 inches. I mean, these are, I've never grown, some of them are small, but I've never grown a crop that, and I've had blackberries for many years, 700 feed blackberries at one time. And I've never had any that produced that nice of a berry, especially in the first crop, the primocane crop. Because these plants that are producing these are primocane berries, they will produce another crop in spring of next year on the very same canes. And this, my experience has been, that is the biggest, I don't know whether the biggest berries probably, but certainly the biggest crop. But those are just, I mean, that's just ridiculous. In a good way. So I want to show you this. Also, this is how I freeze blackberries. I put them on a cookie sheet, put them in the freezer, and then, leave them for a few hours. Sometimes I forget them, leave them for a couple of days, but after you've left them for, a couple hours, they're good and frozen. Then put them in a gallon, or whatever size freezer bag, but put them in a storage bag, a nice Ziploc freezer bag. And then when you go to take them out, they're like this. They're not all stuck together in a big clump. They're just like this. Even though they're frozen, they do that. So that's what you like, in the bag. So this is a good way to freeze cherry tomatoes. Also, I do cherry tomatoes like this, but very good way to freeze blackberries. But I did want to show you my monsters. I have got some monsters. That is just one nice blackberry, and I have got a bunch of them. It don't take many of them to make a cobbler, you know it? I mean, those are big berries. Now, somebody commented several years ago, that bigger berries means bigger seeds. And I wrote back then, and I'll go ahead and tell you now, my opinion, my theory is bigger berries make bigger cobblers. But that's just me. I'm just telling you, that's just me. Believe me, I know what I'm talking about. I can make a cobbler. It don't take too many of those to make a cobbler. Those are nice. Those are really, really nice and very flavorful. Oh my gosh, they're just, I can eat. Let me eat a small one. Eat a small one. Oh man. I see that one did have the little core. Didn't mean to show you my spittings, but that did have the little core in it. But most of them don't. Most of them, when you chew it, you can't. It's just not there. So I don't know where it's. That one was a little harder than the rest of them, or what? I don't know. But anyway, need to throw these in the freezer. Just picked them. Getting a good first crop, a good primocane crop from these Prime Arc Freedom blackberries. And shoot, I know you want to see it. Now, in case you haven't been following me, these are grown in containers. My blackberries are all in containers. For years and years, I grew them in the ground. Matter of fact, I grew them right there where there's nothing now, because the gophers got in there and pretty much just decimated them, along with blackberries. I think, especially some of the modern varieties, have a life expectancy, and I've read that it's between 8 and 15 years, and some people say it's longer than that. Some people say they don't have a life expectancy. So I don't know, but I think mine just gradually got worse and worse. Once I took control of the gophers, killed all the gophers, then mine they just never recovered. They got a little worse, a little worse. My neighbor said the same thing. I had given him some blackberry plants, and he said the same thing. His finally just went kaput. So that's the main reason I went to containers. And something else that may have, I'm willing to admit may have contributed to their demise was I couldn't stand getting grass where the berries are. I mulched real heavily, mulched my blackberries real heavily, and that mulch, if you know much about deep mulch, it forms compost, and every time it rains, that compost, that rain just sifts through that compost, and it makes compost tea, and it's wonderful for any plant. But it's also wonderful for grass, and that grass just takes off. And I've got coastal Bermuda up there, and that grass just takes off toward that mulch. So I used as small a strength as I could to kill the grass and not hurt the berries. But I used some glyphosate over 2 or 3 years, several years. Not often, and not about a half strength. But it could be, I'm willing to admit that could be part of the demise of my blackberries. So shame on me, and that's another reason I'm in containers. Those containers, the grass just will not encroach upon them containers. I can just weed eat and just have a big time. Even if I do spray something, it's not going to get in the container. So container. If you're wondering if you would like to grow some blackberries, you just want maybe one container or two. I've got 18 or 19, and I was wondering if it was going to be enough. Yes, 18 or 19 is going to be enough for me and my family and kiddos and everybody else that wants to come pick. I'm not going to open up a U-pick like I had before, but 18 plants producing like they're producing right now. 18 plants is a lot. So blackberries in containers. I believe in it. I'm having a little bit of a fungus issue, but I had fungus out in the field too. So it's not. I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that they're in containers, and specifically they're in wicking tubs. I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think it's strictly because we just had a wet spring. And this is the 1st of July, and it's just hot and sticky and humid, and I'm just sweating. And it's just real humid, and I think that's got something to do with it because my sunflowers have some fungus on them, and they're just several things got fungus on them. Don't think it's the containers. We'll see how that goes. But again, up in the field, when I had them right there in the field, I had that same looking fungus all over them all the time. I never did anything about it over there. Since they're in containers and I got a little bit better handle on them because there's not very many, I'm gonna try to take better control of them. And I'm trying to do this experiment for me and you to see if blackberries in containers is a good idea. So I hope you're following this closely, and I hope that you try some blackberries in containers, because I do believe that is a wonderful way to do them. Again, these are wicking tubs. I've seen people try them in 5-gallon buckets. I don't know, because once that plant comes up and the new one comes out, it sends out roots and then pops up a new cane for next year. Well, if you're in a 5-gallon bucket that's only 12 inches in diameter, that thing doesn't have far to go, and that's good. It's good that you're keeping them contained, and that's another good thing about containers. You don't have to worry about them, where in the past, if I had a row of blackberries, well, they would send out a shoot over here 3 or 4 feet, and it would come up, and they'd send out a shoot over here 5 or 6 feet, and it'd come up, and maybe send up one in the row where I wanted it, and I'd have to mow these down or dig them up and put them over here and stuff like that. So another good thing, again, with containers is they all stay contained because they're in containers. All right. So all the canes that come up, they're coming up right where you want them, right there in that container. So I think that's a good plan. So far, it has worked out real well, and just trying to show you my progress. If something happens good or better or worse, I'll certainly let you know, because I want you to be informed. Anyway, we're looking good on the blackberries, and I will say goodbye now, because we got to go put them in the freezer just like they are, and then dump them in a freezer bag when they get froze. All right, we're gone.